Or should be unmuted. I don't think it's because they're not going yet, but I'm unmuted. Now what, if they ask questions, that's how I don't know to get a picture up.
Go ahead and call this. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. My name is Tara Tui, Chair of the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services Commission. Let's begin today by saying the date. It's March 28th, 2024. And let's have our Pledge of Allegiance led by George. By way of announcements, our proposed future meeting schedule, which is of course subject to change, will be our next commission meeting will be on Thursday, April 25th in Park City. We were hoping to have this off the Wasatch Front meeting in Moab, but hotel prices and room availability was extremely prohibitive because of other events going on. So we've moved the meeting to Park City, right in Commissioner Jacobson's backyard. We will be having the meeting at the Park City Council chambers. And the following meeting will be Thursday, May 30th, here again in this office building. For those present and online, if you would like to submit public comments, we will be taking public comment at the end of the meeting. If you are online, you can submit the public comments to hotline@utah.gov. And with that, we will move to our Parents Empowered update from Doug. Hi, Doug.
Hi. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. At our last Parents Empowered Underage Drinking Prevention Work Group meeting yesterday, the Cicero Group, which is our a research firm that administers our Parents Empowered Utah Underage Drinking Parent Study, they presented their results to us. And for the second straight survey wave, we fielded both a telephone and an online versions to check for accuracy, quality, and consistency across the two methodologies. This was the 30th wave, just by way of a little background of the survey. The sample size was 600 for each of the different, for online and phone. And there's a 4% margin of error. With an average, they tell us, of an 11% point difference between the phone and the online. So when we look at comparing the past two online surveys, in many cases, we see a lot of consistency throughout the results. However, in some cases, and in very important areas like methods of alcohol access, location of alcohol use, we saw some large variance. Again, we're looking at online to online. So that's a concern to us. Consistency is probably the foremost reason why, you want, or what you want to see in the surveying. Another example, we had ad awareness, which is a legislative performance measure, shows a decrease in ad awareness in the phone survey of about 4%, but we saw a 5% percentage point increase in the online. And that's okay. We're okay with differences in the methodologies. There might be slight changes in the sampling or demographics, right? But what we want to see is when we look at, let's say, online versus online, from survey to survey, we want to see good consistency, right? We don't want to see these large swings in the answers. So, yeah, we're looking at maybe tightening up, talking with the researchers about tightening up the samples, looking closely at the demographics and see what they can do to make sure we're getting consistent results. But I did want to share just a few takeaways. We saw that television consistently has been a prominent media source, though its influence is, we're seeing a decline. While radio ads have higher recall, and radio and outdoor are showing uptrends. So that's a good indicator for us when we put together our strategies for our media plan, to take a look at these results and see where we might want to make some adjustments. Also, we saw a large increase in our social media. It was about a 23% increase, but we looked at what we did over the past year. We added Instagram to our social media platforms, and so that might explain that jump. Anyhow, just to summarize, we're at an important crossroads. We're looking to move away from the phone survey and move forward into the online. However, there's those consistency concerns. So we're looking at perhaps doing another round of both surveys, just so that we don't lose the consistency of the phone survey, but also to maybe just to make sure that the online is going to be where we want to be. So anyhow, that oh, I just wanted to mention one thing. April is Alcohol Awareness Month coming up, and the DABC liquor stores are going to be hosting some new signage, thanks to Tiffany. Yeah, so we're excited to help promote National Alcohol Awareness Month in April. So look for some new signage in our liquor stores. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Doug, I've got a question for you. When you mean online, are these surveys emailed to people? Are they texted, or are they like ads that are asking people to take surveys? How is the online delivery working?
Yeah, what we're told, and I remember Chair Tui, you asked about texting types of surveys, and that's kind of the wave of the future. We've looked at the various types of online, and apparently there's many. But it's cost prohibitive in terms of the surveys that we're administering. So I think what they do, as I understand it, is they have a pool of sample participants that they pull from to get their responses from. We were told that to do a text survey with the length of survey that we have really isn't, I guess, bang for our buck. It would be very expensive. So I hope that answers.
So is it an email request?
I'm not certain. I'll look into that. I was just told that they do have a pool that they have. Yeah, and it's kind of a new thing these days, but I'd be happy to check into that.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, it is political campaign season, and I've been getting text messages that have a link to a survey. So it's one text instead of, I understand what you're saying about it being, but it is still an online survey that's linked, and whatnot. So anyway, I'd be interested to hear more about what the online is and the differences in the telephone survey versus the online components, because I think that the results that we get out of these surveys are so important to understand if the investment that we're making is working, if it's effective, if it's delivering the right message. The one other thing I wanted to ask, you mentioned that we've had a lot of uptick in social media, and we've added Instagram. Welcome to the 2010s. But are we also working on TikTok?
I know
it's a sensitive subject at the state, but
it is, and with our ad firm, they initially proposed that we go in that direction. Obviously, it's a popular. Given the position of the governor and the state, we're
maybe that's something we ought to explore, considering that that's where youth are. There's some sort of exemption that we could seek to be putting these alcohol awareness, and I feel like this is for a good cause. And maybe if it was our contractor, it would be allowed. So maybe that's something we'll be able to
figure it out. Heather just logged on.
The goal of this particular message. Yeah, Commissioner Vice Chair Hannon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excellent report, Doug. I'd be interested in some time, will we be able to actually see the results of the survey? And I think it'd be interesting to see the raw survey. What are the questions that asked?
absolutely. I'll ensure that you'll get a copy of that.
Thank you.
Got it right here.
Just one more. Along this line, is there a way that we can learn more about?
I can't bear to watch it. I'm just gonna. let them
just gone to Instagram or are
watch
they?
it. I can't. I want to tell these guys they're assholes. I want to tell Heather she's an
Steve-
asshole. I
Steve
just
Ginger
can't
McKinnon.
stand it.
Ginger,
We can hear you.
muted. Can you please mute? Thank you. You're okay, you're okay. Don't appreciate the profanity. Hope it wasn't directed at anybody specific.
For the que-
Commissioner Orton, back to your question.
Just wondering, as far as platforms, social media platforms are concerned, is Instagram the only social media platform that you're looking at right now, or are they on Snapchat?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our ad agency, that's what we pay for, is to examine what platforms we really want to be at. And although we target parents, right? It's a little bit older demographics because we want parents that have children that are age 9 to 16. So the reason we're started on Facebook and have been for so many years, that's where a lot of these that age demographic is. We'll continually look at other platforms to make sure that we're not missing anything or should be here when we're not. So yeah, just the move to Instagram has shown some good results there.
To the end of Facebook. I know a lot of people are moving to Reels, even younger people are moving to Reels, Facebook Reels. And to the extent that we might be able to, because I'm watching Reels several times a week, so I haven't seen any of our stuff yet. So I probably would be more apt to see something on Reels than actual Facebook.
Great. Yeah, duly noted. And yeah, we'll look into that. Certainly we don't want to miss, thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Sorry for the peppering from us. We are obviously interested in the work that you do and being here. I actually feel like Director Clayson, this might be an opportunity. We've been doing a lot of commissioner education events and awareness opportunities, and maybe digging into the survey a little bit and trends in surveying, certainly for our purposes, might be an interesting conversation for commissioners. Then we won't have to use this meeting to dig into the boring questions that people want to ask. And thank you, Doug. Okay, moving on to our financial update. Sean and new guest here. Please introduce.
Thanks for allowing me to present the February DABS financials. Revenues for February this year were $47.8 million, while last year's February revenue was $50 million. So a reduction in revenues of about 2.2 million, 4.29% between the two Februarys. They both those months have the exact same number of sales, so that is consistent. Year-to-date revenues this fiscal year are 386 million so far. Last year was 388 million. And while that seems like that also is a drop, there was one more days of sales last year, and so therefore it's actually almost exactly 0.07% increase above last year. After all expenses, transfers to other programs, net profit to be transferred to the general fund at year end so far is anticipated to be 75 million first 8 months of fiscal year. So
Sorry. You're okay. Let's move on in the agenda and then we'll come back to that. Sorry, Sean. Excuse me. Okay. Any questions before we move on to the operations update regarding? Okay, great. We'll move on to our operations. Director Clayson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Commission, we are, hard at work at the things that we're always endeavoring to do and to do well and to improve. We have a couple of quick operational updates. The bulk of our time since the last meeting has been working to make sure we've identified all of the things that came out of legislative session, statutory changes that impact our space, either in the retail sector, the regulatory part of our mission, or even with prevention education, and ensuring that we have a complete catalog of that. We have action items to ensure that anything that we're called to do or to change that we have done and completed by the timeframes prescribed in statute. So we've been hard at work at on all of those items. In addition to that, we have been planning and preparing for the April meeting, which, as you noted, will be in Park City. We will be prepared in the next few days to submit to you all some draft ideas for how you might want to spend your time, educational field trips, et cetera, outside of the main commission meeting while we're there. And so we'll be prepared to share that with you here in the next few days. Kate has a quick update on allocated products, and then that will complete our presentation.
So, yeah, we just wanted to bring to your attention that this past month on March 16th, we were able to move forward with a new program or a new way in which we are getting products of an allocated type. These are items that are not the RHDP, which is the drawing items, which we have a few of those, but then we have these other items that have similar demand, but just a little less important. So what we do is every third Saturday, as mentioned last time, he's out on a Saturday morning and present this on the website, and everybody have the same opportunity to go and find these items that they have interested in. We had a lot of feedback from how this went. We're pleased to say that it was very well received. People were excited about it. We too were excited about how it went. So we're looking forward to that. And the next one, this will be a monthly occasion that occurs going forward. Tomorrow, our staff will meet. We'll look at those items that are available. Plan to have these ready for the third Saturday in April. Let's see, the date is 20th. And so on April 20th, we'll have that opportunity as well to do that simple program. City access. In the meantime, we've actually met with those who are excited about this program, some outside groups who are interested in this, and so they too have given us very positive feedback. Employees out there, that as well. So looking forward to moving this project. Excited.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, the staff have done a phenomenal job along our complete, delivery of service logistically from warehouse, our retail division, our purchasing, merchandising division to make this project go. We're really excited about the future of it and just the greater accessibility it provides for people to have access to these products.
For all your work there. Moving on to our next agenda item, I'll go, check. We'll go back to Director Clayson for the appointment of our new Assistant Finance Director.
Great. Yes, thank you, Chair. So as you know, we've worked really hard to do, restructuring, reorganization at the DABS over the last couple of years. We've also been working really hard at all levels in all area of our operations to provide redundancy and leadership redundancy where it's appropriate and makes sense, to just right size the workload in order to make sure that we can be successful in our overall mission, but so also each division can be successful, right, with its role and its part to play in helping us achieve our mission. We've recently done that in compliance, and all of you work very closely with compliance. And so the addition of an assistant division director there has been really fruitful and really helpful, not only to us, but I think to staff and to those that we serve. The same can be said in our accounting division. you know, we've done a lot of work. Sean has made some really great recommendations and done a lot of work in making sure that, you know, we're making sure that we have the right credentialing in place for the folks that are on his team. Is a lot of work and care and planning being done with our systems in accounting. And really working hard to modernize, just like we're modernizing all of our other infrastructure and operations, working to modernize the systems and the work and the just organizational structure in that accounting and finance division. So this is just a way to better support the overall mission of the DABS and then specifically the mission of accounting and finance. This is an assistant division director position. And so this person, Mike, will be helping Sean in a leadership role, leading that division, leading that team, sharing, you know, a multitude of responsibilities. Will also be in a position to, you know, in Sean's absence, attend meetings like these or other meetings, right, with other senior staff intergovernmentally. And so, you know, we've had a chance to get to know him, not only through the recruiting process, but since he's been on board, he comes from the Utah Department of Health. And then most recently, he's been at the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. So he has state experience. And so we think this is going to be a really good transition for him and for us. All of the materials regarding Mike's credentialing and experience has been in your meeting materials. And so as you know, this is the type of leadership position that statute asks. We're able to make the operational decision, but then it asks that you all confirm that decision. So we would be at the end of this looking for a motion to approve. I don't know if Mike, if you have any questions for Mike specifically, or you'd like Sean or Mike to speak to the role, the need, and or Mike's credentials.
Commissioners, looking at Mike Thompson's resume, your experience is extensive, and I love that you've had experience at different departments and you'll be able to help us and help Sean take some off his plate in terms of all of the work that he's been doing and really continuing to help us modernize. It's been important for the commission to see. With that, unless there are other questions for Michael, I'd be looking for a motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Welcome, Michael. I would like to move that we confirm the appointment of Michael Thompson as Assistant Division Director of Finance of the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services. To finance.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. We look forward to working with you. And Sean, congrats to you. Great, thank you. Next, we'll be moving on to our violation calendar. I'd like to, I should have mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, excuse Commissioner Tennert. She's had an emergency come up and unable to attend the meeting today. So Commissioner Jacobson, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but being a member of the compliance subcommittee, I wondered if you could report on your conversations with the compliance subcommittee related to violations. And we'll go to Sam as well for any items of note, and then look for a motion from Commissioner. Is your microphone on? Excuse me, sorry.
Should be, is that?
There you
what's
go.
that?
There you go. Just pull it a little closer. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Yes, and I was going to say, I also invite my colleague, Commissioner Terrazon, if she has any corrections. But we went over the consent calendar, and we would recommend that the consent calendar be approved as presented by the Attorney General's office, and thank the Attorney General's office for the wonderful job that they have done in working on these. So I so move that we accept the consent calendar as it is printed in our agenda.
Is there a second? Thank you. And before we go to a vote, Sam, is there anything you'd like to add or report?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing really to add. All 12 items on the consent calendar have settlement agreements in place and ready for commission action.
To a vote, and all those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Compliance Subcommittee, for your work in digging in on those violations. Next, we'll move to licensee recognitions from Director Gleason.
Great, thank you, Chair. I don't know if this is a record or not, but certainly when we do this month to month, often, we'll see 80, maybe 90 inspections completed and passed. Sometimes we'll hit the 100 mark. You'll notice for February, it's 180 licensees listed as passing their inspection. This is largely due to the fact that these local law enforcement entities and or SBI have been out in greater force. Perhaps they had some good weather, right? Or other factors that had them out and about and doing these inspections to a larger degree. But as usual, this is an opportunity after the violation portion that you all cover. It just shows the operators who are, paying particular attention to their operations, working really hard to be safety minded, to ensure that they have operations in place and a responsible alcohol service plan in place that prohibits the sale to minors, which of course is something that we're all really eager to make sure that is not only curtailed, but eliminated, right? So we have folks from Logan, we've got Park City, Draper, Salt Lake City, and a plethora of license types, right? From restaurants to bars and other types of establishments. So again, just an opportunity to say thank you to these licensees, these businesses that are working really hard to follow the law and ensure that minors are not in their establishments drinking underage. So thank you.
Thank you. That is a very impressive list, 180. As I was reading through it, I noticed some of those that have passed these cub inspections are ones that we have seen with violations before. So it's really heartening to see that the responsible alcohol service plans that people have put into place are working and being followed. And we thank our licensees for prioritizing safety. Next, we'll move on to our consent agenda, and for presentation there, Jeremy, that's you.
Very nice. Thank you, commissioners, and good morning. It's my pleasure to present the consent agenda once again. In this consent agenda, we will include the prior meeting's minutes dated February 29, 2024, and then we will move forward. This consent agenda includes applications for the following license types: off-premise beer retailer, manufacturing, local industry representative, type 1 package agency, restaurant limited service, restaurant beer only, on-premise beer retailer beer rec, and on-premise banquet. The consent agenda does not include restaurant full service or bar establishment applicants. These license types have historically had license scarcity, and given the likely need for additional discussion amongst yourselves, and these applicants, those will be heard and actioned at a separate time. It is important to note that all of the applications for your approval on this consent agenda have been processed, vetted, and found to have met all statutory requirements. You as a commission have preparation materials on their businesses and relevant requirements, and have reviewed the materials and had the opportunity to ask questions of staff for clarity and due diligence. Staff can answer any questions you may have about these applications on the consent agenda. And if indeed there are no questions, I understand the chair is looking for a motion.
Commissioner Jacobson. Is there a second? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Orton. We're gonna give everybody a chance today. It's gonna keep me on my toes. So all those in favor of moving forward and passing the consent agenda as presented by staff, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, moving on to our bar establishment license application items for consideration. Rob, if you want to come up and get ready for this presentation, we have available to us for the meeting today 4 regular licenses to award. So Rob, anything that you would like to report to the commission on these applications? Sure, please.
Have the
You're looking for a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the license change of ownership for Hopkins Brewing Company.
Second? Commissioner Cares on. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Yes, so we do have 4 licenses available, 4 bar licenses. We have 6 applicants. I believe all 6 are prepared to do a 2-minute presentation.
I would like, thank you. So, Rob, thank you for that. So I will ask the applicants to come up in the order that they're listed on the agenda. And we would like to hear from applicants about, why you should get this bar license today. As Rob said, we've got 4 licenses, we've got 6 applicants. So we want to hear about what differentiates you, what makes your clientele interesting, what sets you apart in terms of community support or anything else. The commissioners have all reviewed in detail all of the materials you have already provided to staff. And so we will keep these presentations to 2 minutes. Rob, thank you. And we'll start with Blue Cats. And as you come up to the mic, please make sure that you sign in and you say your name and your affiliation for the record.
Yes, hi, can you hear us?
Yes, hi, thank you. Thanks for joining online. Please both state your names as well for the record.
Borden Reed Smeltzer.
And I'm Jerry Love, event coordinator for Blues Cats, local realtor.
Okay, proceed.
Yeah, so Borden asked me to sit in and speak on his behalf. I had helped him procure the zoning changes necessary to actually get the bar license in the city of St. George. 2 days ago, I had put together a presentation and sent it over via messaging. I don't know if you've had a moment to review that.
Yes, we have that.
Okay. Well, that's essentially where we're at with this, trying to bring in more local cultural events and live music. Borden was a professional live touring drummer for 30 years. And, it's really his passion and his dream to not just be a bar owner, but to have a place to put on events and support local live music, fundraisers, a plethora of different things. As event coordinator with it as a restaurant license, I've been pretty much denying and keeping most of these events from happening because it's very difficult to man and keep people seated and do the things necessary to not have a violation of that license. I recently stopped Latino night from being a thing at the venue because of the violation you saw there. So we no longer are even allowed to have that event, or we're allowed to, but it's just too much to man and stay on top of with a restaurant license, keeping people seated with their beverage and not getting up to move about socially when you have whether it's a fundraiser or a live band poses many challenges that we're simply not able to meet. And that's why we've moved ahead to apply for this bar license, so we can continue to have these events for Southern Utah and make this place what it deserves to be and what Borden's dream has been. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I will start with one additional question I think that's of interest to commissioners. Can you please tell us about your violation and what you have done to mitigate the circumstances that led to that violation?
Yeah, so Reed has changed the entire staff. He got more experienced bartenders and servers on staff now that have been around town working at various other establishments that are better equipped to communicate and handle the people in those more social environments. And as an event coordinator, I've been stopping events that I deem to be too busy or have that type of interaction where it's more conducive for people to get up and move around and simply not even want to remain seated. So I've been moving away from those type of events as a restaurant. And that is, of course, why we're applying for the bar license, so we can have more events, more type of clientele, and have a more diverse range of events happening at the establishment.
Are questions from commissioners for this applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Commissioner Jacobson?
It's even greener. Okay. My only comment is the fact that you did have a violation. And you mentioned that what you did is, of course, you want to shift to a different type of arrangement where standing up and having a drink will not be a violation. But there are other issues with regard to operating the bar. And I'm wondering if you might tell us, given the fact that there was obviously a lack of supervision when there's a restaurant and this occurred, what specific steps have you taken to provide supervision to ensure there won't be other violations, such as passing a drink to a minor and things of that nature?
Well, as I spoke to previously, the addition of more experienced help and Mr. Smeltzer himself attending every evening's events, being on hand to move about the crowd and make sure that these violations weren't happening. So it really comes down to just having more experienced staff and an owner who's willing to be there and make sure everybody's doing their jobs. He's even moving towards allocating more funds towards hiring a manager to specifically oversee these particular items so he doesn't have to maintain it himself. So additional staffing, it really just comes down to all hands on deck, making sure all the rules are being followed and making sure that it's a safe environment for the patrons.
Thank you. We'll now move to Scoville's for 2 minutes. And please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Jeff Cree, Scoville. I'm just going to lean into my experience here. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the service industry for 20 years, and I've owned and operated bars. I've managed and owned bars for 15 about. I haven't for the last year. I'm getting out of my old business and starting a new one. Last time I was doing this, I was running 4 bars at once, and all of them had no violations. Currently, I have about 20 staff waiting to work, and 7 of them are all management. They're all set up and certified with the state. No violations for any of them. I literally have more management than jobs for them to manage. So we have a very good staff that's looking forward to working in Sugar House again. I've also worked with a lot of nonprofits over the years, and I can't wait to work with again. That's like the Boys and Girls Club, the Volunteers of America, the hospitals feeding emergency workers and things like that. I'm very well received in Sugar House. That's where I want to open up again. And that's kind of it.
Thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners? Thank you. Okay, next we'll hear from Rooted Vine from Moab. Rooted Vine.
Do they need to star six or anything like that, or is it just,
Here on the phone, you can press *6 to be unmuted. Okay, Rooted Vine, we will come back to you, but we're gonna skip you for now. Let's move to Home Range Brewing from Logan.
Kid. As in our statement. Just tap second. Highlight. Also, don't have extensive experience in craft beer industry myself, production side of the business. As a tap manager. Yeah. So like extensive experience running craft beer. This would be a unique opportunity. Catch it out. Couple
Question. It looks like your projected opening date is in October. Can you give us an update as to your construction and how everything's going?
God, so it's a 100+ year old building in town. Expect some professional at that, like, right now, a lot of them.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. Thanks for making the trip here. It's the same line of questioning, and I think all of us probably are thinking about this with our challenges with the quota. So construction is difficult. Anytime you do construction. So, how certain are you that October opening date is gonna hold? I mean, that's months from now. Things can happen and stuff happens in construction.
I would say it's very hard to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. That's helpful. Thank you. Thank you for being forthright with us. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here. Spritz from Salt Lake City.
Our Tom's first spritz bar. Who doesn't know what a spritz is? It's a really common drink in Europe. So Aperol spritzes, limoncello spritzes, orangecello spritzes. We are just striving to make it a really fun and safe kind of quirky environment. Downtown Salt Lake doesn't really have a lot of that. I think a lot of their bars are more just kind of loud and clubby and kind of basic, I guess, but we just really want to make it fun. And I personally want to be there to work there every single day and just strive to get to know people. And we also are going to be located inside the Fury Hotel, which is a registered historic site. So that being said, people coming in and out of Utah will get to experience that. We also do want to use a lot of local products and local spirits. That being said, from food spirits, all that. So when people do come into the Fury Hotel and they do get to step foot in our bar, they also get a little bit of taste of Utah as well. Some Europe and Utah, which is a great combination, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is it Melissa?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
thanks. Elizabeth, thanks for being here. At full capacity, and this is probably in our notes somewhere, but I've forgotten it. At full capacity, well, what is your full capacity?
I believe that anywhere between 35 to 50.
35 to
It's
50.
a relatively small space, but that's what kind of experience than having it be just your basic large bar you're going to.
Well, that sounds very unique and very, very interesting. Thanks very much.
Next is the Manor F&B from Colville.
I'm Erin Stone. I'm with York Howard Diamond. No, we're York House, sorry. I'm here representing Wahali Master Owners Association. We are here. So Wahali is a master planned community located in Colville, consisting of 5,000 acres. The community will provide year-round amenities for members, including backcountry recreational activities and a championship-style golf course. The community will consist of 125 lots and 330 resort units and will nearly double the number of households in Colville, which are currently being served by one bar business. As a key component of the planning for this community, a bar equity license will serve the members during this first phase at the Manor. Wahali has invested more than $6 million in the construction of the Manor, and it is the centerpiece of the community. It will include bar and lounge area, multiple seating and dining areas with fireplaces, a driving range, golf simulators, and a patio with spectacular views. Over time, this bar equity license will be extended to multiple other food and beverage locations throughout the community. Significant benefit of a bar equity license is that it can serve up to 5 dispensing locations within the community in multiple quota. So Wahali is committed to serving and investing in the community of Colville, and approximately 30% of its employees are from Colville. The general manager, Birgit Ulmer, has more than 20 years experience in hospitality industry, including directing and overseeing food and beverage at multiple large resorts. Wahali is committed to providing an apprentice-style training to its employees to develop trades within the community of Colville as part of being a self-performing development. The Manor is nearly complete. As you can see from the pictures that were provided in our presentation, furnishings are already in cabinetry. We're just waiting on some kitchen equipment to be delivered at the end of next week. So we should be ready for final inspection by mid-April with a target date of May 1st. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have 2 of our directors and our general manager here today. So if there are any questions.
Am I correct that your facility will not be open to the public and only be available for your members? And how many membership units do you have in your development?
And so members, spouses, family members, and guests would be.
How many of those units that you speak about have actually been sold to individuals other than the developer? And of those 21 units, how many of them are in a condition that they can be occupied, that they've got a certificate of occupancy from Summit County?
See if those residents for mid-year next year, but our golf course is opening May 31st. And so the goal here is to have the clubhouse and the golf course operating all summer. That's going to be a component. I think that person can visit and using the facilities throughout the summer.
So the golf course is only open to members, correct?
Yes, not the same member. Oh, well, and the golf course, well, yes, members of the association, there's also golf memberships and the association memberships, and those do have overlap.
So you've got 20-some units that have actually been purchased, correct?
Yes.
How many golf memberships have you sold?
And then with the opening of the manor, there will be, the village, the resort units will go, be released for sale at that time. And so there's a significant amount of interest in those units with the property. So we believe that that will also increase dramatically once those units are released.
So as you stand here today, am I correct that you only have 20-some units? And they may have more than one person in the family that are eligible to use this facility.
Yes. And I just want to make sure I'm not.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go and see, were we able to get Rooted Vine online?
Director Clayton's. Bob, just to confirm, Rooted Vine was aware that the commission would be considering bar applicants today and that they were extended an opportunity, invitation, and information with how to join if they wanted to make a presentation. Okay, I just wanted that on the record. Jeremy.
Chair, thank you. I do have a quick question about hopping. She mentioned memberships in the community, but was it also indicated that you could get a golf membership if you're not on the community property? No. So you have to live there to be able to have a golf membership. Okay.
Rob, anything else you'd like to add before we go to commission discussion?
They all presented presentations that you were able to look at before. So this was just a second chance to reiterate what they've already submitted to us.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll now go to commission discussion on bar establishment applicants. Again, commissioners, we have 4 licenses. We have 6 applicants. This is going to be the story until July of this year, and we will consistently, I think, be seeing a scarcity in licenses until July. We are getting one more next month. Additionally, some of these licenses came into the commission's possession because of surrenders. Thank you. I was looking for the right the forfeiture surrender. And so that may occur occasionally as well. So just know that we will have maybe at least one more license before July, possibly more. So with that, I think we'll go to discussion. Commissioner Jacobson.
As a preliminary matter, Madam Chair, I would like to suggest that we take one license at a time, because even in our committee meeting, Commissioner Terrazon is free to obviously correct me. We could not come to a consensus, but we could come to one at a time. That would be my suggestion. We just take one license at a time.
With that, I mean, I know Commissioner Tenor, as I mentioned, was not able to join us. We had talked about the discussion and agreed on a few. So I will go ahead and make the first motion, which is that we award a bar license to Mano F&B. And I'd be looking for a second. The Manor, excuse me. there is no second on that motion, that's we will go ahead and I'd be looking for additional motions.
Sure.
Mhm.
I move that, grant a license to Blue Cats Rock and Roll Grill in St. George.
Second, okay, we will move to discussion. I actually will personally not be supporting this motion because of the violation, because the 5 other applicants that we have no violations. So that's gonna be my, Commissioner Jacobson, please.
I agree with you, and I would say this, it's not my first choice. And I would look at something else as my first choice. There has to be some consequence for having a violation in this state. And so to that extent, when I was doing my evaluation, I couldn't put him as number. That doesn't mean I might not consider him. But
So you're saying they have a restaurant license, so they're operational. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Orton, did you have anything to say there?
Am I correct in that the violation that Blue Cats had, they were not in my top 4 when I was going through them all, either, but as I listened to the presentations, it was my understanding that the violation that they had was because people were standing at a restaurant license. Is that correct? Is that the violation or were there others?
Director, please.
It might be helpful. There actually are 2 violations, so I just wanted to make that clear. That was one of the violations. Was that also the second violation, Ron? Thank you.
That occurred.
Violation. They were not on my top 4. However, in listening to the presentations, I became concerned that the manor would not be able to put a license to its best and highest use until later down the road. And we will have a license available next month. And so for that reason, Blue Cats moved up on my
Chair Tui, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we're having trouble hearing online. We don't get a little closer to the microphones. If I can offer that, we're having struggles. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the table to grant one of the 4 bar licenses to Blue Cats Rock and Roll Grill in St. George. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now let's do roll call. Thank you. Sorry, Vicky, if you could help with that.
Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Handy,
Yes.
Commissioner Tui, Commissioner Terrazon, Commissioner Jacobson.
So that motion fails. So I would be looking for another motion. Commissioner Jacobson, yes.
yes, I will move to grant a license to Spritz.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I appreciated the presentation. I think it's a very unique concept, something that as the proponent stated, we don't have in the city. And so I liked the fact that when I asked the question about capacity, it's going to be a nice venue. So I'm in favor of this motion.
Touch the hotel, we'll get a lot of. Great. All those in favor of awarding a bar license to Spritz, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Spritz, first successful motion.
We're moving.
Okay, I'd be looking for another motion. Commissioner Jacobson. Is there a second? Okay, discussion to the motion. Okay, let's go ahead and move to a vote. All those in favor of awarding a bar license to Scoville's, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to Scoville's. I'd be looking for another motion. Is there a second? And discussion. I will just say I agree with the motion and will be voting in favor of it. I also am concerned that they were not here today online. So Rob, I just have one question for you. And has your communication with this applicant been good and what you would expect from a bar license applicant?
See, last commission meeting, that we were so disappointed that the license available this week. So yeah, they're very interested.
Answering that. Okay, let's go ahead and move to a vote. All those in favor of awarding a bar license to Rooted Vine in Moab, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Congratulations to Rooted Vine. Okay. So we've got one more motion that we need to. It's okay, just keep going.
Keep going.
There a second.
Well, I'll second this for discussion purposes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Discussion.
Just give you the basis for my thought on, first of all, as Commissioner Terrazon has pointed out, Blue Cats has a license. They can serve alcohol. They just need to serve it responsibly. And the manor's not ready. I mean, 21 people, and how many of those 21 people are drinkers? We don't know that. That's it's premature to issue the license based on that. And that leaves us with home range brewing. And I understand from the questions my fellow commissioners have asked that there's concern about the timing. But this is in Logan, which is an area that is still considered to some extent rural Utah. And there's two of us on this commission who might definitely second that. But I look at what the others are and what has happened with regard to them. See, Blue Cats will be able to stay in business. They will be able to serve alcohol. So the alcohol will continue to be poured in St. George. The manor just doesn't have a clientele. I mean, they may be very optimistic and they're doing all the things they should to develop their development, but they don't have a clientele to serve. So that leaves us with home range. And given how long it takes to develop various properties, it's really conceivable that the home range will be serving a lot more people in October than manor. So to that extent, that was my reasoning when looking at them, even though they are quite far out in terms of the
Yeah.
Bob, can I ask what the capacity for home range is expected to be when they open?
'94.
Rob, is that what your data says? Commissioner Orton, was there a follow-up to that?
That answers my question. Thanks.
Yes.
I would just like to comment that to Commissioner Jacobson, I'm persuaded by your thoughtful evaluation. Appreciate it. Thank you. Vote in favor.
My perspective personally is that the manor will be serving clientele. They don't have any sort of license to serve alcohol, considering that they will be opening a facility. They're going to have to possibly pivot to another type of license for the facility, considering that we probably won't have one. So I think they find themselves in a precarious situation, and I think it was reported that there's been $160 million investment so far. I'm uncomfortable that a business can invest that amount of money in the state without any certainty to this licensing process. And that, you know, I feel for them, and I was in favor of awarding them a license, but considering where we are, I'm gonna go ahead and vote with where I think my fellow commissioners are on this. And I agree that Logan, I wouldn't agree that it's a rural place. But I do agree that it is an underserved location, especially for the population there. So with that, I think let's go ahead and go to a vote. All those in favor of awarding the final bar license to Home Range Brewing in Logan, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Home Range, congratulations.
Sheriff, I did want to point out, we do get a population one for April, for June, and it's still to be decided.
So 2 more before July, at least. Okay, thank you very much. Need a nap. Okay.
Madam Chair, you're doing great.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to full service restaurants. This. Okay. Craig, let's hear all about it.
Thank you. To begin, for our full service restaurant licenses, we have 2 applicants on there for a change of ownership. It's not going through on there. It's stated to Las Vegas in West Valley. What those applications are.
For a motion to approve the change of ownership.
Madam Chair, the motion is to approve the change of ownership for Romano's Macaroni Grill in Murray and Morris Co's. Just say that, in West Valley City.
For a second. Commissioner Orton, give that one to you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And let's hear about our new applicants.
Licenses available. Additional of 3 summer system licenses. Now, provides they are Saturday. I think the one on this restaurant bar, St. George destination. I don't know who operates Smithville representation. All about populace and housing that condition. Squared away with their insurance. Item number 3 for we're just waiting for an inspection. Expensive equipment. Doc's Food and Brown Draper condition objective 70. Sunday's Best in Salt Lake City also condition projected 70.
Questions from commissioners? Yeah, go ahead.
I just have a little question and concern about number 4 and other applicants. And those of you who knew Steve Bateman, I think this would be one of the things that he would ask. I'm familiar with Boondocks in Caseville, and at that facility, you've got kids, you've got games, you've got bowling, you have car driving, and you have baseball bats. And so I'm wondering, in this situation, we'll be serving maybe serving alcohol in Draper. And how are they going to address the issue of potentially being under the influence and engaging in some of these games that could actually injure somebody, whether it's the car driving or swinging, having baseball bats or golf clubs or whatever else? How are they addressing that special issue?
Those issues are addressed as far as ensuring
When we were dealing with axe throwing many years ago, and that's why I remembered Commissioner Bateman and his statement, what could possibly go wrong here? The vision that I have as a concern is we could have patrons who are drinking in the restaurant and then they go out and drive these cars. So the people who are monitoring this stuff, they're not going to be able to tell whether these people have been drinking or not until they get into the cars and start acting inappropriately. And that's what I'm wondering, if they are going to be using any kind of a screening device that if in fact you first purchase alcohol, whether you're going to be allowed to engage in some of these other activities.
those specifics.
Commissioners, if I'm off base, tell me right away, but this was just something I saw, and having been to their Boondocks facility in Kaysville and watching how people are engaged in these physical activities with people who get hurt, that was just my concern.
Commissioner Jacobson, just of note, we already approved 2 other licenses for this Boondocks location. An off-premise beer retailer, beer recreational license, and an on-premise banquet license. And I will say, being present for some of the axe throwing shenanigans, conversations. I don't feel personally that this is much different than a golf or bowling facility, and I would recommend we approve. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the restaurant applications for all 6 applicants or individually. Is that, what is your motion then?
My motion is to approve numbers 1 under the ready to open, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 under all other applicants.
Is there a second? Commissioner Terrazon, any discussion? Okay.
Concern. It is different than the other resolution.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Craig. Our next applicant, our next agenda item involves 2 applicants for a type 3 package agency in Duchesne. And Jeff, it's great to see you again. A continuation of our last commission meeting, and look forward to hearing from you on this agenda item.
We have Heather and Brian Sorensen for it. Last commission meeting, candidates presented their position, their abilities to run with the VA by the addition of system making the decision. So this meeting, last meeting was for informational, and
this meeting is to make a decision.
Jeff, can I ask you a clarification real quick? And I'm just noticing this on the agenda. The applicant, Virginia McKinnon, is a sole proprietor. Is that right? The applicant, Heather Sorensen, is actually a partnership.
Her husband, Ryan's. Yes.
So should the agenda actually read Heather and Ryan Sorensen? Okay. Is it possible to make that as a note or as an update on the agenda? Okay. So let's note that in the minutes then, that the commission wishes that, yeah, in the minutes that it should state Heather and Ryan Sorensen. Apologize for not noticing that sooner. Thanks for the clarification, Jeff. I think that what the commission would like to do is ask the applicants a few additional questions based on the responses that we got. So can we confirm that Virginia McKinnon and Heather and Ryan Sorensen are both online?
Say it again.
I'm here. Can you hear? This is Virginia McKinnon.
And we're here also, Ryan and Heather.
Heather, are you able to turn your video on? Great, thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started. Commissioner Jacobson, I'm going to actually turn to you first. We had discussed that Commissioner Jacobson had a few questions. So Commissioner, if you want to try to keep this around 5 minutes, and then we will see where the discussion goes from there.
I have questions for both parties in connection with this. Ms. McKinnon, are you there?
I am here.
Ms. McKinnon, what I was wanting to get into is a little bit of your experience in the past in connection with the operation that there was present with Duchesne. And
Yes, sir.
could you tell me what was the extent of your participation in that operation?
The extent I worked full-time for up until about 4 years ago. So my participation was limited up until that point. I retired. Scott my husband, got to the point where it was very difficult for him to come and go back and forth to the store. So I was present on the premises for the last probably 4 years. And prior to that, I was back and forth as well. But for the most part, the last 4 years have been, I have been present. I've worked the store. I've worked with the customers. I've done the training. I've done everything that I'm doing the ordering of product. I check in product. I have been fully involved for the last 4 years. Scott kind of stayed back in the background the last few years because of his health and not being able to get out and about. He did what he could from home as far as the bookwork, and he also involved me in that, in getting the, sorry about that.
So in connection with the operation of this, she turned the phone on first.
Yeah, that's what.
All right.
Can you hear me now? I apologize.
Yeah, sure, no problem. That happens to all of us. So during the last 4 years, I realized you said that you did the ordering. Was there anybody else that did ordering other than you?
We did. I have one of my employees. I have got excellent client employees that know my clientele. They know product. They know what the clientele want and how much from week to week. So if I couldn't be present to help with the ordering, then actually both of my employees would make a mark as to what was needed. So we could go through the list. We had a system that everybody knew what was going on.
Of those
As-
employed, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I can
I
ask
was
you,
finished.
of those employees, how many of them would be with you if we awarded you the package agency?
Both of them. Both of them. I have continued to pay to payroll the two employees. What we've waited to hear. I've also continued the lease on the store so that I wouldn't lose my location. And I have continued to pay my employees for the last 2.5 months since the store has had to close down. So we're well invested. They've wanted to come back. They enjoy working there. They enjoy the clientele. They know the clientele. So that's they'll both be back.
How much of the ordering in a percentage do you do versus the employees?
Probably I do. They'll mark what's needed as we run out. I do the online ordering for the most part.
So they perform the inventory work?
We all do. It's a group effort. If we do our audit inventory or when they're all involved in that. And they're involved in keeping up with, as we order from week to week, what's needed, what's not, what sells, what doesn't sell. They're very much involved.
So how do you do the inventory for that store?
Inventory, we do have the POS system. We continue to use that sometime, but we also verify just by manual counting. We'll go through the whole store and count front and back. I have limited space for storage, so we have the storage area and the back area, and we're all involved in doing the counts on the different products.
So on a typical week, of the hours the store is open, what percentage would you attribute to you being on the premises?
On the premises, probably, well, I open the store every morning. I take cash, register cash down, and the store is opened by me. The employee will come in and count cash and verify cash that I've put in the register for the running of the store that day. And then at the end of the day, we have a drop box that we use that they put the cash in. But I am available all day. I live less than probably about 5 minutes. I could be on premises in 5 minutes. And if there's issues or if they need me there, I'm there. I can be there within 5 minutes.
You have other employment at the present time?
Pardon?
You have other employment at the present time?
I do not. I'm retired. I have retired from I worked for the Duchesne County Justice Court system.
But you're not there at the closing every day, is that right?
I pick up the cash. Yes, I have been. That's what I've been doing, picking up the cash.
So you pick up cash at the end of the day?
Well, I generally on some days I have a drop box right there that we use. If I can't be there to pick up the cash, it goes in the drop box.
So what I'm trying to ascertain here is during the course of the day that you're open.
Yes.
What percentage of the time are you actually on premises?
Oh, 50 plus, I'd say.
50% plus?
Yeah, during the day. But again, I want to, I'm available.
Why is it that you're not there 100% of the time, but it's open?
I could be, but I've got two employees that enjoy the job. I trust them. they know my clientele. And a lot of the time up to this point, there was, I was a caregiver for my husband, Scott.
Commissioner Jacobson.
That's not an issue anymore.
I don't have any further questions, right?
Thank you very much.
I just had one question
Yes.
for this applicant. On your hours of operation, you listed noon to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
That is correct.
And then you also asked if it would be possible to operate seasonal hours. Can you tell me about that?
Well, you're probably fairly familiar with the Duchesne area. We have a reservoir that's within probably less than 5 miles from Duchesne. And so we do have seasonal people, and they are finding that there are many, at this point, many of them come in and say, I didn't know there was a liquor store here. And so I would like to expand my hours, just maybe opening a little earlier in the morning to accommodate touristing and people like that. The people that come through and people that are going to the reservoir and other areas of recreation in the area. We live right smack dab in the middle of the Uinta Mountains and Rocky Mountains, and we get a lot of people coming and going to the national parks that are around us and this and that. And I would like to be able to accommodate them and people, so people become informed that we're there.
Okay,
and
thank you.
And that product is available to them.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson, did you also have any questions for Heather and Ryan Sorensen?
I do, if you.
Yeah, let's try to keep to 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay, are the Sorensens there? I can't see them on the
Yeah,
screen.
they're, as soon as they talk, they'll come forward.
There they are, okay.
Virginia, could you mute your microphone? Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Sorensen, one of my first questions, of course, is if you got this package agency, how do you plan to run 2 stores at the same time?
So if I take the lead. So we have just been waiting for the go on it or no to hire an employee. One of us will operate the Roosevelt store and one of us will operate the Duchesne store until we can get at least one employee on to be able to operate at one location or potentially both, maybe working at both locations if they're interested. We prefer to operate with less employees. We feel like the more hands-on that we've been, the less issues we've had with employees, with customers. We're able to be the face of the business and we know exactly what's going on in there all of the time. So
one of you would at all times be at either store, either Roosevelt or Duchesne store, is that right?
initially, we plan to at some point have it to where, not sure which location, one of us could kind of be moving between both locations, dropping in at Duchesne for the day, switching places. So maybe not 100% of the time, but most of the time.
Have you spoken to anyone that you believe has the skill to be able to operate one of these stores when you're not present?
Yeah, we have a couple of people in mind. I feel like we feel like it takes a special kind of person to be able to handle some of the people that you end up dealing with in the liquor stores. And so we have, like I said, a couple of people in mind that we feel like it would be a good fit, could deal with the customers, deal with different issues that arise in the store, are very knowledgeable and able to run a cash register, stock, the day-to-day stuff.
So the people that you've talked to, what kind of management skills do they have, the people that you have in mind?
So the one girl that we're thinking about, she is kind of a jack of all trades. She moves all around. I couldn't specifically say what her skills are to management, but she's worked for several businesses in the area, and currently she substitutes at the school some, but her hours are open. I don't feel like management would be so necessary. We also live about 5 minutes from the Roosevelt, PA, and would be available to Duchesne very quickly too. So anything that would need to be handled by management, she could just relay to us. And the other girl that I think could be a good fit for either place is someone who we've actually employed in the past. But when we moved out here, we didn't need an employee anymore. And she was in a situation where she had a family emergency and needed the time off. And so she took that time, and we just have not needed an employee since then.
And what is her management experience?
She actually managed the Roosevelt, PA for us while we lived in Salt Lake. We operated the PA from Salt Lake for 6 years, and she did a really great job. As I said, I feel like it's really important in the package agencies to be the face of the business because, sorry, my mouth is dry. In the small towns, especially out in the basin, the customers that you're dealing with, not all of them, but there definitely is a big group of customers that you deal with that are a very difficult crowd. And she's amazing at dealing with those people. She gets them in and out. No issues, no confrontation. So
I have no further questions.
I just have one question similar to the question I asked of Miss McKinnon. Can you talk a little bit about your proposed hours of operation? I see that you've listed noon to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. It says with reduction to Tuesday through Saturday during the off season. You want to say anything else about that?
yeah, so our thought was if we do get the contract for the Duchesne agency, when we open up, we will open up with seasonal hours. The reason we don't feel like we need to change to longer hours is that one thing to start with, not that people can't change, but we've actually kind of toyed with this a little bit in the Roosevelt agency. And people out here are so set to those hours, that 12 to 7. We've opened different holidays. I'm trying to think of mostly just different holidays that we've opened up extra hours. We've advertised for a month before and still end up in 2 extra hours on Christmas Eve, only doing $500 more or something. So we feel like the hours are enough for a full day. And we feel like that extra day on Mondays throughout that seasonal time where starvation is so busy, and Duchesne really is kind of the outlet to the basin. If people are coming through and hitting that liquor store first, that would make it to where 6 days a week they'd be able to get what they needed.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you both for being here. If you wouldn't mind going on mute. I think we're to the point in the agenda where we'd be looking for a motion and then commission discussion, if there is one. Commissioner Jacobson.
Preface my motion by telling you I had not made up my mind before I got here today. But I would move that we award the package agency to Mr. and Mrs. Sorensen.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion for the purpose of discussion. And now I would like to open it up to discussion. Commissioner Jacobson, is there anything you'd like to say to your motion?
Well, I think we have to look out for what is best for the state of Utah. And you have to be objective in doing that. And what I see here, the Sorensens have been involved full-time in connection with the management of the Roosevelt store. We've praised them in the past for their work at the Roosevelt store. And they intend to be both involved in connection with both of these stores full-time. The distinction that I make in that regard is Ms. McKinnon, though obviously very dedicated to having operated the store following the timely death of her husband, has specifically told us she only would be there 50% of the time. So that means in terms of the management factor, that you've got a 50% manager, or I hate to use the term absentee manager, but basically it's not someone who is going to be there the entire time and 100% dedicated to the store. I believe they both have experience in ordering and training, and they both know how to order those things. I think the way the scale tips is that when we see what the Sorensens have done and what they propose, that they're not only full-time, but they are looking at getting someone to be their backup who has already worked at the, who already actually managed the Roosevelt store. Whereas you don't have anyone from Ms. McKinnon that she's indicated who's actually been a full-time manager of the store, because obviously her family managed it before, and then she considers herself to be the manager. And trying to make a distinction between these two very well qualified candidates, that's why I was making the motion based on the management factor.
Discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am, this has been a difficult decision. I appreciate both of these applicants for their diligence and being here last month in person and to comment to us today. It is my understanding, and if I might ask Craig for this clarification, that either package agency has to still apply after 1 year.
Correct.
Help us understand that, please, if that's okay, Madam Chair, to ask that question.
My name is Tim.
Sorry.
It's fine. So what we do is the contract length is for a 3-year period. And what we're trying to do is keep the contract so they're all being approved at the same time. Or it is open to the general public. So any of the 35 active PAs that we do have for the type 2 and 3 will have or could have compensation for the establishment, and contract runs through June 30th. So we'll be starting the application process again around November, January 9th.
Thank you. That was the clarification. We'd heard that before in our pre-meetings, but that was the clarification I was looking for, Jeff. Thank you. I wanted to mention that I, however, am persuaded that even though the Sorensens are obviously fabulous operators, that I lean to granting to Scott's Liquor and Mrs. McKinnon this 1 year opportunity to operate. I just wanted to go on record about that when we get to the vote.
Discussion.
I just wanted to second, I have a similar opinion, and I also understood differently than Commissioner Jacobson. I thought that Ms. McKinnon had said that she had been in the store 50% of the time previously while she was caring for her husband, but that she would be in the store most of the time afterwards. So that was one of the things. And I also interpreted the management situation a little bit differently than Commissioner Jacobson did. I was encouraged by Mrs. McKinnon's characterization of her two employees as very capable, able, and involved in a lot of the managerial responsibilities. So with that, I would also be in support of awarding it for this year to Mrs. McKinnon.
I do want to say, this has not been an easy decision for me. I will be supporting Commissioner Jacobson's motion. And this has not been an easy decision, I will say, but I've really dug into the business plans and feel like this is the right decision for me. I will also say that I feel personally, and seeing some of the comments that staff has shared with me from social media, that Ms. Sorensen has really been unfairly maligned on social media for some of the comments made in the last commission meeting. So I want to share my regrets with the way that that has happened and feel that that has been unfair to her personally. That is not the reason for my decision today, but I wanted to go on record with that as well. So any other comments? Okay, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. All those in favor, let's go ahead and do a roll call vote, Vicki, of awarding the Duchesne Package Agency to Heather and Ryan Sorensen.
Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Handy,
No.
Commissioner Tui,
Yes.
Commissioner Terrazan, Commissioner Jacobson.
Motion passes. The Duchesne Package Agency will be moving to the bottle shop under the Heather and Ryan Sorensen operators. So big change there. Jeff and staff, thank you so much for your work here. This has been a very difficult decision and a very, very competitive process. And so we will be back here making the same decision in a year. And so there might be additional competition, and to Heather and Ryan Sorensen, we have very high expectations for your operations of this store, and look forward to working with you to see what you can do with this. So thank you. Okay. Next, we will be moving to item 12 on our agenda. This is a review of the off-premise retail product label. Jeremy, we'll go to you for comment on this agenda item.
Chair. The commission has been asked to consider the department's position of denying the approval of the Happy Thursday labels as submitted because the products do not meet the statutory definition of beer. DAB staff ask that you consider upholding the department's denial before Erica Evans, the Director of Compliance on maternity leave. She created a detailed and comprehensive document outlining her decision. It can be found in the commission meeting material. Both Utah's definition of beer and Utah's narrow labeling requirements have been the subject of debate and legislative action during the previous two legislative sessions. Statute requires the department to give an interim presentation this summer on this particular topic of OP products and labeling. Both the executive director and the director of compliance, Eric Evans, will present on this work that has taken place to overhaul and restructure the OP product and labeling regulatory environment, and where there's still a lack of clarity. Do you have any additional questions?
Commissioners?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I dug into this as deeply as I could. I thought it was it's a difficult issue, and I think that we've got to lean on the legislature at some point for some clarification on this. But Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion if we get to that point, depending on other comments.
I understand that we have representatives from Molson Coors here. I don't know your name, and I didn't ask you to come up here, but you're here, so please introduce yourself.
Not mean to prematurely approach the opportunity. My name is Griswold Ware. The opportunity to speak with Mr. Summerlat. Well, previously on this. So I'm an attorney.
Is there also a representative? Are you representing Molson Coors, or
Yes,
is there somebody else also here?
Nell Bauer,
Okay, if you both want to come up.
also from our government affairs team. I have Ms. Robert.
Want to just all introduce yourselves. I understand that you've made an incredible effort to be here. Please introduce yourself and your affiliation for the record. I think that, like Vice Chair Handy said, this is an incredibly difficult issue to wade through. We've issued a decision, to agree with the the department has issued their decision. So tell us why you're here and why you disagree with the department's decision.
Afforded the opportunity to file our initial appeal and state some arguments. I presume everybody's had a chance to read these. And the discussions with Mr. McHenry, he agreed to let us file a reply, and I'm assuming he had a chance. So as a general matter, that's, those state our positions, those succinctly stated in a reply. This is as professional a disagreement as you could possibly imagine. We've had excellent discussions with the ABS on this topic for several months. But what we have here is a class of professionals. And what it really comes down to, this is a highly technical issue. Molson Coors is a leader in alcohol beverage safety. The product in question on its own meets the standards of 604 in terms of declaration of alcohol present in a cocktail, in beverage with something like 9 or 10 different statements of alcohol, 21 plus, contains alcohol. These are all in large print, prominently displayed. From an alcohol beverage safety standpoint, I believe that we have met every standard, not just in this state, but in every state where this product is available. With that said, what we get down to is the difference comes down to they have relied heavily on Section 102 definition of beer as the gatekeeping term to apply. We take a different view of the fact that 102 doesn't apply. Look at 604 standing on its own, or the malt beverage standing on its own as a label guidelines of how to proceed with this. I know they have issued guidance subsequently, but the guidance of course says this is and we are really relying on interpretation statutes. There are examples of other products that don't meet requirements that are available in the marketplace today. There is obviously, there's a clear statement by the U.S. that they have followed a statute. But as the point I just mentioned, there are other products that don't meet the terms that are set forth in 102.11, which is the definition of beer, and are sold in the products. In fact, there's guidance on the website that explains how these products don't can't be sold. So from a strict compliance to the statute, there is already an example of some variance on that, given this category of product, which is which it doesn't say anything on 102.11, which is the definition. Moving on to the fact that on its own definition of just what I'm sorry, I didn't realize I had time.
I didn't set a time limit, sorry. But if you want to just
finish up.
Yes, please. Thank you.
602 sets forth the three elements of malt beverage. Here, FMBs, flavored malt beverage. Correct? 604 is the catch-all phrase. Right? 604 is 3I modified class and type A. Therefore, where beer may be every other it's limited content. 604 3I that uses this catch-all phrase term malt beverage modified to allow us to spike refresher. We can demonstrate that spike refresher is a complement alcohol beverage. So I don't believe so. We have a report based on 3 hours. And examples of other things don't have that our product should be approved. And I have examples here today, both product that sold for a living. It's not used for charity. It's considered beer. As well as alcohol.
Are there questions? It's representative. I'd like to also afford the.
Thank you, Chair Tui. Just as a quick, I guess, rebuttal, so to speak, this ad nauseum, we've had, transparent and very collaborative discussions about this very topic, since about a week after I came on board and was appointed. I just would like to underscore, his comments about this being a very, professional dispute. I would just like to let you know, this is in our position. The DABS's position as the regulatory entity is not adversarial at all. In fact, we agree that we would like to see additional clarity. One would hope that after several years of discussion on this topic, we would have all the clarity that we would need and no divining would need to take place, right, to come to these decisions so that Stephanie and her team can process these applications accurately and consistently. But there is still a lack of clarity where some parts of statute are not necessarily congruent with one another. And we feel like having been part of these, again, collaborative, transparent conversations amongst all stakeholders, industry, public safety and prevention, and with the legislative leads present, that the prudent thing to do as the regulator in this instance is to move forward conservatively, so that we're moving forward in a way that it obviously provides safety, is respectful to legislative intent, and in their wisdom, the legislature put into last year's statutory changes on this very issue, both with the formula definitions in relation to the formula and the labeling. They have asked the department to give a interim presentation, and that is mandated in statute for Erica and myself to do. We will be doing that. And that presentation will give a sort of this state of affairs, so to speak, on this very topic, all of the cleanup that we've done, because quite frankly, things were so convoluted and so complicated, and we had a real lack of technology to be able to process and record keep these things. There was a lot of inconsistency in the market, and we're still cleaning that up, but we have essentially cleaned that up. So I would say we look forward to the interim presentation that we give. We will be asking for additional clarity and making recommendations on that, asking the legislature to provide clarity for the benefit of us as the regulatory entity that needs to make these decisions, for the benefit of industry, and with respect to public health, public safety, and prevention partners. I would also just allude to, this is very complicated, and when you throw kombuchas in the mix, that was a topic of conversation last year. It gets even more complicated. We respect whatever direction you choose to take today. We would just like the opportunity to work with the legislature to provide this presentation that we've been asked to give, looking for a path forward in a way that we feel like is not only appropriate, but will have the highest chance of success for possible meaningful clarity and meaningful changes that will be received well and not likely then undone or changed or be seen as adversarial on our part.
Comments from commissioners. I've got one question, and this is for the department. And Sam, feel free to chime into it. Thinking about kombuchas, hard kombuchas that are sold off premise in grocery stores, convenience stores today. What is the difference between kombucha and this spiked refresher market?
I might kick that towards Jeremy. Again, I want to make it really clear. A product can be compliant in terms of formula, but when it comes down to labeling, that's where this issue gets kind of sticky. Jeremy, would you like to speak to that, or perhaps we should ask Stephanie, who is our program manager, to come speak to that. Are you okay if Stephanie speaks?
Yeah,
to that?
by the way, the reason I'm asking this question personally, I understand where the legislature is going with the formula determinations and really adhering to the statute. I think that it's unfortunate that we can't clean up the statute year after year. It seems like we have these similar conversations at the legislature, and now it is on our lap squarely. But in my mind, 5% means 5% means 5%. It's all the same thing. Even if it were liquor, like a mixed cocktail, it would be the same alcohol delivery as a beer, kombucha, a spiked refresher that is also 5%. So that's kind of in my mind where I'm coming from, but I do feel our job is to narrowly follow the statute as is presented to us. So that's kind of what I'm struggling with. And Stephanie, Jeremy, I hope you guys have had a second to confer on your answer. But if you wouldn't mind getting to that question about the difference.
Thank you. Yeah,
in labeling.
Thank you, Chair. Just the department and the division have taken great efforts into reviewing a plethora of labels, right? And looking thoroughly, determined based on statute, right? And we look at the statute, what is the definition of beer? And then subsequently, the label requirements. And so as a response to the kombucha question, the kombuchas that have been approved are sugar-based, right? They've changed their labels. They are IRC beers. They have formula approval, and they have to meet those strict requirements for the label in the state of Utah. And they meet those. It was a push back and forth, obviously, because when you have an established brand outside of Utah, and then we have our particular requirements in the state of Utah, you know, they acquiesce. They say, we recognize it. We want the market share. We will make those changes.
So the department's position is that there is not currently products that violate the statute in being sold in the state.
Find them, we will report them.
Questions? Would you like to respond to that before we move on?
Do you think?
You've got 2 minutes. I'll this time.
First
2
and
minutes.
foremost,
Thank you.
let me give the commission a path forward on your desire to follow the strict letter of the law. The strict letter of the law, 604.32B, 6043 up, is that any class and type that for any malt beverage, so it's not just FMBs, it's not just heavy beer, it's all three. That catch-all applies to all three without question. It is clear that that's where it stands. So for the purposes of that particular statute, it is unequivocal that the catch-all applies in that instance. We're not opening a floodgate here to every type of product that can cut that pipe. You still have to meet the initial requirements, 604, 1A, 1I, sub 2, that it meets because our product has TTB formula approved. Our product is sugar-based fermentation. Our product is an IRC beer, Internal Revenue Code beer. Those that don't see IRC, it's because on the label, most people probably wouldn't know what IRC beer is. Forming standpoint. And I can say, I don't want to admit the risk. There are products available, have been available. Do not say that would be that, except for the tax classification term beer, do not have any reference to beer on the law or any of the terms identified in Article 211. I would argue that the products we've seen that do use the term IRC beer are scarcely more prominent in their posting of that term than we are. The term beer does appear on our label. I concede it is small and it is on the back, but again, it is for a tax classification. So with that in mind, I think this commission does have a path forward to grant the to reverse the TAP's decision to allow happy burger steak to be sold in the state. Because as you pointed out, this product is just like everything else that's already out there. It's simply seltzer without bubbles. And that's really what it comes down to. And so, as I say, the technical issue, strict reading, do think we comply. History of this type of product in the state, I think it's a state, frankly, we talk about product.
Any other comments from commissioners or questions? So I think it's with that we would be looking for a motion specifically to uphold the department's decision or deny the decision. So is there anyone who would like
Yes, I move to sustain the decision of the department.
Second, please.
discussion to the motion?
So if the vote is if the vote is in favor of upholding the denial, this doesn't mean that we have to wait until the 2025 legislature. I mean, the applicant can come back at any time, right? I mean, we can have this continuing discussion, Director, throughout this.
Can I answer that question?
Please.
Yes, and so, and thank you for asking that question. So, it's not like in the licensing environment where, if you uphold this decision, they're barred from resubmitting for 3 months, 6 months, et cetera. In fact, if they wanted to, they could maybe resubmit, next week if they wanted to. So it provides the opportunity again to address the legislature, get some feedback, possibly in advance of legislative session. And that could be really helpful.
I will say I'm really looking forward to this public presentation to the legislature on this issue. I think where I'm coming from is where the commission has tried to, well, we don't ever do this. We don't ever get ahead of the legislature because I think in even discussions about getting ahead of the legislature, we have lost privileges as a commission. We have lost the ability to make any sort of policy or any sort of decision-making on our own. And so I don't want to step ahead of the legislature and their intent around this. I do want to say, I hear you on the fairness issue around other products possibly being in our stores that don't meet the same requirements. My understanding is that this label review is meant to be comprehensive. And if it's not, we will take action on that and look into what you're talking about specifically and review those labels. I would encourage you to reapply given the guidelines that our state has. And I do want to drink your drink in the state of Utah. So I hope you're able to meet the requirements and come back here. So if there aren't any other comments, I think we'll go ahead and go to a vote. And all those in favor of the motion to uphold the department's decision, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Your time.
Thank you. Our last agenda item is comments from commissioners and from the public. Are there any comments that commissioners would like to share today? Go ahead, Commissioner
note.
Jacobson.
How about a happy note? Since you guys are all coming to my backyard next month, and you have to drive up that canyon in the morning and you're going to find out that we do have traffic in Utah. I'm going to try to put together and invite all of you for breakfast at one of the local establishments. And we'll have to sit at separate tables. I understand that, but I would like to work on that and invite you to do that. And that we'll work that out, but I want to extend that invitation.
Any public comments? Vicki, were there any comments submitted online? Okay, any comments in the room? Okay, thank you. With that, I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. I'll second that. All those in favor, non-debate.